So although I was very confident in my work, in my career, I was not in my personal relationships, most specifically in love, but family too. I was always a people pleaser. I was always sacrificing self to help others. From my childhood, I didn't have a lot of self-worth. I didn't have a lot of self-love. While doing my inner child healing and doing my shadow work, I have found my self-love. I have found that I don't need to have people in my life that want to use me versus coexist with me or to reciprocate the relationship. I don't need that anymore. In fact, as I've elevated my energy, I have let people fall off. If and when they are ready to be reciprocal, to be unconditional love, then that's when they can be a part of my life. I did this many years ago with my own mother, but yet I didn't do it with all the other people in my life. It is extremely important, and I actually talk about this a lot right here in my car while I'm driving people around. It is extremely important that you love yourself. How can you love another unconditionally when you do not love yourself unconditionally? I had to learn that. And it took hitting bottom a year ago. Literally a year ago. It took losing my dream job. After the loss of everything else, the only thing I had left was that dream job. But God gave me a lesson in that. He let me know that's not where I belong. That is not what I'm meant to do. That is not the best place for my skill set. My skill set is taking care of people. I got my first police officer job at the age of 59, almost 60 years old. Well, no, I just turned 59, sorry. I got my first police officer job. I have never been so unsuccessful at anything that I am so passionate about. But I was very unsuccessful. And I look back now, and I can see where the circumstances were put into place to set me up for failure. Now, the failure was for my good. It didn't feel like it at the time. So there I was, losing the last thing, the very last thing that I thought I had for myself, which was my dream job, being a police officer. So basically, not literally, but basically you can think of somebody curled up on their bathroom floor saying, okay, I give up. That was me. That was absolutely me. I was previously told that I needed to do shadow work. I needed to do some inner child healing. When I was told that, I thought of, oh my God, all the compartmental traumas that I had done. You know, I think of when I hear about my traumas that I have just compartmentalized, that I have put them away, I think of this big wall. This wall has little drawers, like little filing cabinets, full. And so, mother abuse, put it in that drawer, locked it away. Father abandonment, put it in that drawer, locked it away. Father abuse, put it in the drawer, locked it away. You know, child molestation, put it in a drawer, lock it away. It was not. So when I was told I needed to do shadow work and inner child work, all I saw was that wall full of trauma that I was not, absolutely not gonna open up. I was afraid. I was afraid of what would happen to me if I opened up all that. Well, while I was curled up on the floor, thinking I had nothing to lose at this point, I started doing it. I found somebody on YouTube that had spirituality channel. Well, yeah, the whole channel is, but she has a playlist, and it's completely on spirituality. It started making sense. I was like, oh, so that's why that's doing that. Okay, well, then she had guided meditations, so I started doing the free guided meditations on YouTube. Amazing. Now I will tell you, I did not come out of my apartment for 6 weeks. I did not want to affect anybody else with my energy, and I did not want to be affected by anybody else's energy. I literally did nothing outside of my apartment except to go to the local crystal shop, and I bought crystals. I got a whole bunch of crystals, but I continued to buy crystals. I bought sage. I just went through it all. And so I learned the way I like to meditate is in a hot Epsom salt bath. Now, I took multiple a day there in the beginning because it was the only way I actually felt grounded and not crawling out of my skin. So, hot Epsom salt bath with bubbles. And I had some candles that I put around the bathtub. And I would set up my speaker, and I'd set up my phone, and I would do meditation. And I did that over and over and over again. Like I said, it took about 6 weeks for me to finally decide, okay, well, I need to start getting out. I'm running myself out of all the money I had. So then I started doing food delivery, because I still didn't want anything to do with other people's energies. So I continued to meditate, I continued to cleanse, I continued to heal, I delivered people's food, I had road rage, I had all kinds of rage. I went to the crystal shop and said, I don't know where all this anger is coming from, but I am just like at a snap angry. Well, you know, they helped me out, and I got some crystals for that, and I continued to meditate on it. So healing my inner child, I healed for, you know, abandonment. I healed the abandonment wound, the abuse wound, the mother wound, the father wound. Then I started learning about ancestral and generational, and I just started doing it all. And this specific person also has an app that has a lot more meditations in it that I dedicated myself to myself. And it took me a while. It did. It took me a while to get to the point where I love myself. I don't look in the mirror and see the same flaws that I used to see. I don't judge myself the way I used to. You know, I could be completely understanding to other people's flaws, but my own, no. And I knew I wasn't perfect, but I needed to be perfect, and so that was another thing I healed, was my perfectionism. So I'm probably going to do videos on each one of the wounds and how I healed it. This can be a good thing. And I guess I have been putting this off for months. But today, I haven't worn a hat in months. But I was very much drawn to wearing a hat. I have been putting off starting this channel, not insecurity in myself, but I will say that I have been a little bit afraid of being triggered by those I am triggering. Now, I absolutely know that I trigger people because of my light. That's who God made me. So triggering other people can help them to figure their stuff out. I mean, it's within my own family. The generational. My life is very similar to my mother's life. and I'll go into all that again in another video. My mother's life was very similar to my grandmother's life. And my adult daughter, her life mimics my life. So there is something said about inheriting your generational trauma. So I inherited things that were not necessarily mine. I still had to heal them. I still had to release them. I'm really excited about this channel. It took me a while. It did. It took me a while. But today, I was being pushed very hard. I was being pushed to wear a hat. Don't know why. Haven't worn one in months. I used to wear them all the time. If I wasn't in uniform at work, I had a hat on. And I haven't worn them in more than a year, steadily. But I was drawn to wear a hat today. Y'all are definitely getting the true, authentic me. You've got my hat, you've got my hair back, got no makeup. That is, you're getting the authentic me. I'm not going to put makeup on. I don't wear makeup in my daily life. The only time I've ever worn makeup is when I'm going to go do something. Date night, basically. Haven't had a lot of those lately. But, yeah, I'm very excited. I was pushed very hard to start this today. Maybe I'll figure out why I'm supposed to be wearing a hat and why today. Other than it being the spring equinox, I'm not really sure. But things tend to come to light on why. And again, a lot of my stories right here in my car, doing share ride, at the job, as a detention officer, at the job, as the police officer that I was not successful for. By the way, I am supposed to still be in law enforcement. Just not as a patrol officer. That's not my forte. I'm hoping that my wish fulfillment gets fulfilled this time and that it is successful. I want to be a school resource officer so that I get to do all the things that I love to do in helping people, mentoring people, counseling people. I get to do it for children, who I'm very passionate about. I've always been passionate about children. You put me in a room full of children and all of a sudden I'm on the ground playing with them. You know, that's just who I always have been. Kind of a kid at heart. Yeah, kid at heart. Anyways, I'm excited for this journey with us. I'm hoping that I'm healed enough that other people don't trigger me, but I promise you, if some of those comments that I've triggered, if some of those comments trigger me, I am 100% going to go heal it. I don't want to deal with it. I want to be the best version of myself for you, for myself. So I'm going to call it a day. That's quite a bit. I don't know if I'm going to post these all together. I'm actually learning, so bear with me. I will be learning this as we go. You'll be learning it with me, and I'll be learning too, because I don't know the first thing about posting. I believe that Spirit will, God, however you want to say, will bring those to me that need to be. I'm not going to promote myself. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. None of that stuff. I'm not in this for the money. I am in this for our healing, the collective, the everything. I am in it for the us. God will bring us together. I have actually done more than one meditation on bringing in my soul tribe. That's what I believe God will bring. He will bring us together. So, I'm looking forward to the journey. I hope you are too. Bye.